Hi, it's Elaine Hamilton from the Reiki Center, and today I wanted to talk about a interesting question that came through, and it's something that many people struggle with. This is a Reiki 2 question. So in Reiki 2, we learn how to send Reiki to others, and we also learn how to send to labels. So for example, you can write an intention and then send healing and Reiki to it. You can write an affirmation and send healing to it. So in Reiki 2, we learn how to look at our own issues and begin to work through them. It's a very powerful law of attraction tool, also a very powerful tool for releasing blockages, working on trauma, starting to kind of dig into the things in our lives that we feel are perhaps limitations to us. So one of the questions that came in, because in Reiki 2 we do say, okay, you can work on all this stuff for yourself, but be very careful. And in general, don't send to other people's trauma or other people's issues. And the main reason for this is this whole the reality of personal growth. Now, the reality of personal growth is you can't remove something from someone, you can't magic wand over them and make them feel better. You can't do their work for them. And if you try to do that, then actually you're really meddling with their own personal journey, in a way. They then could either become dependent on you, or you become dependent on that feeling of being able to kind of be magical and a bit wizardy in terms of, oh, I can help you remove this and I can help you get rid of this, and you don't have to do it for yourself because I can do it for you. And you have to be really, really careful about this kind of temptation, because essentially everybody's personal growth is their own, and you can't release something without working through it. So this is a really important distinction to make when you are tempted to help other people through the crafting of labels. So the question that came in was really around, well, when can I help somebody with labels and when shouldn't I be? And I think this is a very personal kind of reflection that you have to make in terms of what's your agenda. So what are you trying to do when you send Reiki to somebody else specifically? So when you're just sending to their 12 body positions, when you're just sending to them as a whole, like I'm sending Reiki and healing to this person so that they have the resilience, they have the resources, they have the energy to work through their own problems. This to me is gold standard sending, right? You're not meddling in any way. You're just gifting them with energy. You're gifting them with Reiki energy so they can sort out their own problems. Now, in other situations, you might be feeling that you could offer something more specific. Now, when you're offering something specific, the question is, what's the intention behind it? Like, are you trying to help them minimize the issue? So the question was around, well, if somebody is depressed or if somebody is grieving, can I send Reiki to a label to help them with the grief, to help them with the depression? But the questioning is, it's like the way that you are asking the question is really important. So the exact words, for example, to the person's grief, or if the person is feeling very down, then to their negative feelings, or to the person's fear or a specific trauma. Is it okay to send Reiki to those? Now, my question is, what is your agenda for that? Like, are you sending to their grief so that they don't have to feel grief? Are you sending to their depression so they're no longer depressed? Like, what are you trying to do? So if you are having the intention that their bad feelings, their negative feelings, their difficulty is somehow not acceptable, and you just want to like get rid of it for them, then you are not really helping them with their personal growth. You are just removing the scab, and then it will just be more bleeding, right? So the removal of the scab is not something we recommend, and I would say, nope, don't do that. Send Reiki if that's your instinctual reaction, is to help somebody not feel something, not go through something, not learn through the process of grieving or depression or fear, then actually you're not doing them any favors. You're bypassing their spiritual growth. You're helping them to bypass their spiritual growth. So if you're looking at this and you're like, could I send Reiki? So here's something to play with the wording, right? If you're sending Reiki to like help them get rid of their grief, release their grief, move forwards from their grief, these kinds of things, the wording is really telling you what you're trying to do. You're trying to just get rid of it for them, right? If the wording is to give them strength and resources to move through the grief, that's a different kind of feeling, right? So you're not minimizing their need to walk through the grief and to come through the other side, and you're not minimizing your discomfort. It's just kind of like, right, you know what, this person needs support, this person needs like energy, and maybe you even think, well, maybe they need more strength, they need more courage, they need more resilience. I mean, these kinds of words, you can put them in, and then essentially you're helping to send healing with the intention that they go through it. And however you can support them go through it is okay. But then when you start crafting words like that, right, to give people the strength to move through their grief, or to give people the courage to move through the depression or the fear, then when you really think about it, it's like, well, actually, that's exactly the same thing as what I'm doing when I simply send to their 12 body positions, or when I just send them Reiki in terms of for their fullness, so that they have resources and strength and resilience and all these things that we're talking about. So then you come to your own conclusion, oh, actually, it's the same thing. Right? So I would say this is the benchmark. Like when you are really feeling, I wanna help somebody, then really come into an honest truth. What are you trying to help them do? Like, are you wanting them to bypass so that you don't have to feel uncomfortable, because then you don't see them suffering? Honestly, let's be really honest about this. Or are you feeling that you want to support them through their growth? Like when people are really struggling with negative trauma or fear or depression or grief or any of these kinds of things, actually it's a huge growth opportunity for them. And we tend to not want to see that. Like we just want to get rid of all that and make them happy. And this is really not doing them many favors. So just having a think about it from that viewpoint, coming back to yourself. It's always yourself. When you send Reiki to someone else, it's always a projection. You know, it's like you're sending Reiki so that you can feel a certain way about yourself, and maybe that is to help somebody. Maybe it's to really extend your Reiki benefits to somebody else. You know, these can be very pure reasons why you want to give Reiki, but then you can slide. So that's why often in Reiki too, we're pretty clear. You know, we're like, don't meddle in other people's affairs, especially when it comes to specifics. Now, if this person's in your household and you're having a lot of conversations with them, or maybe you're their therapist or your healer, that's different, because then you're working together with them and you're helping them to move through it. So if you're helping someone move through something, grow through something, expand into something, then of course you can start to work with them in terms of what would be supportive. What's an intention that you would like to hold that I can send Reiki to helping support that intention? Now that's a very different thing. And in that case, yeah, of course you can send to those kind of specifics. So I hope that has helped to maybe give you some food for thought and perhaps just clarify in terms of, again, like with everything in Reiki, when you're healing for other people, it's to really be clear on what it is you're trying to do for them. And then you will have that guidance. You'll know what it is that you're trying to achieve, and then hopefully avoid getting into a situation where you're just trying to chop off the scab, and then you're just left with a kind of weeping open wound. That's an image I'm going to leave you with. So yeah, keep the questions coming in. They're always helpful for me to know what kind of videos to aim for, what kind of questions you have, and what kind of answers that you're looking for. So have a lovely day.